आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Starting this edition of This is Exclusive with the breaking news coming in, and then we'll take you through the big exclusive tonight. First, with regards to what's happening right now in the national capital with the 3 service chiefs. Meeting Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh and Chief of Defence Staff. They're all currently at the Prime Minister's residence. Remember, this has been perhaps the 4th meeting that the Prime Minister has had with the 3 service chiefs. Over the last few days, there were meetings separately that the Prime Minister has had with each of the service chief. This comes after the briefing that has just taken place where there has been an official confirmation as to how Pakistan has been using civilians as a shield. Let me also go across to my colleague Riyanka, who's joining us from outside the Prime Minister's residence. Riyanka, this happens to be the 4th such meeting that the Prime Minister is having with the service chiefs along with the Raksha Mantri. Any more details that you're picking up?
Well, this morning, as we saw, there was a similar meeting that happened at the Ministry of Defence where all the chiefs of the 3 services and the CDS along with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh held a meeting. There was a review that went on in that particular meeting, and that same briefing is now going to be given to Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the presence of the Chief of Defence Staff as well as the 3 chiefs of the Defence Forces as well as Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, who are all present at 7 LKM at the Prime Minister's residence at this hour. We have seen in the past as well, whenever there has been some action that has been taken against Pakistan, whether it was the first attack which had taken place at 9 spots in Pakistan as well as in Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Then also there was a briefing which was given to Prime Minister Narendra Modi by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh as well as the chiefs of the 3 services. Even today, when there has been already a briefing from the side of the Ministry of External Affairs as well as the Ministry of Defence, it is now the time to brief the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister is also, as per sources, reviewing the situation and undertaking further information from the side of the army at this point to understand what strategies is the army following in order to guard the nation, because there has been several escalations that we have seen from the side of Pakistan, which India has very successfully thwarted, very successfully done last night as well.
Well, thank you very much, Riyanka, for getting us the latest details. We are also getting a confirmation that the National Security Advisor was also present in the meeting. Now, let's take you through the retribution that Pakistan is facing for its misadventure. In fact, 3 Pakistani posts have been decimated by our forces. Tonight on This is Exclusive, we'll take you through all the images of how these Pakistani posts have been decimated. This is after heavy artillery firing was actually going on along the line of control as well as the international border. In fact, on your screens right now, these are the images that we have accessed from the Rajouri sector, where we are given to understand that the infiltration routes have been completely destroyed. We'll try and see if we can also go across to Gursimran, who's getting us the latest details coming in from Rajouri. On your screens, let me take you through the precision strikes that have essentially taken place. And what we are given to understand is that as a result of the heavy artillery firing along the line of control, we are seeing how India has basically targeted and decimated the Pakistani posts. In fact, there are also reports basically coming in that some of these posts have been deserted by the Pakistanis. Also, interestingly, late last night, we are given to understand that in some areas, the Pakistanis have moved away from heavy artillery firing to small arms firing. Perhaps an indication that they may have run out of ammunition, while there is no official confirmation really coming in. But that's the sense that many are getting as to why suddenly would the Pakistanis really change their tact. And that too, when over the last few days, almost for over 10 days now, you've essentially had Pakistanis violating the ceasefire. In fact, it turns out that the entire line of control and the international border remains absolutely hot because of the non-stop cross firing that's actually taking place. Now, why is the cross-firing actually taking place? We'll tell you the details. That's because Pakistan has a different plan altogether, and the plan is to carry on with the infiltration bid. The latest information that we have is that a big group of Jaish-e-Mohammed, the terrorists, were infiltrating. In fact, they were intercepted at the Samba border. 7 of them have been neutralized by the border security force. On your screens right now is one of the many Pakistani posts that have been decimated in the last 24 hours itself. We're going to take you through the other pictures that we have also got. In fact, the next picture that we're going to put out is of Samba. In Samba, remember the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the terrorists, they were basically eliminated, and at least 7 of them were eliminated. Now, let me also quickly recap before I go across to the BSF visuals that we have accessed. Now, what has happened since the Pahalgam attack actually took place? One, for a very long time, Pakistan did not know how would India really respond. They were absolutely confused. They did not know whether at all there's going to be a strong retaliation on our part, or will we just let this pass. But India has its response ready. With the precision strikes that took place 48 hours ago, Pakistan has got the answer. But that hasn't really prevented Pakistan from carrying out their usual tactics. On your screens right now, this is the tactic that Pakistanis have been using for decades put together, using terrorists as their asset, the non-state actors that they've been talking about, because that's the deniability factor that they can always use. But here, they have been caught on camera. Now, why is this entire image in black and white? That's because these are thermal imaging, which is basically, it's used by the border security force to basically protect our borders and also continue with the surveillance. Now, on your screens, you would essentially see how one of the posts were basically, we are given to understand, was completely decimated. There is another third visual that we have also accessed. We're going to put that out in a short while from now. But if we can bring these two images, these 2 videos, you will get a clear indication as to how the Pakistani posts have been completely decimated, and the message that has been sent across to the Pakistani. These are the latest images that have been accessed, exclusive videos that have been accessed by Republic TV, and the fact that as far as these details that are basically coming in, it's a clear indication of what's really happening on the ground. On the ground, India has basically hammered the Pakistani posts. Let me go back to the first visual. Now, this, on your left-hand side, are the visuals from Samba. On your right-hand side, it is from Rajouri. In fact, it turns out that not just these 2 sectors along the line of control and the international border, but there are several other places where we are given to understand there has been indiscriminate firing that has been going on. In fact, they have violated at over 20 locations. Let's take the breaking news now coming in. The breaking news coming in, Pakistan has basically violated the ceasefire in 20 locations. Pakistani shelling has been aimed at multiple locations. Pakistan has violated ceasefire in 20 locations. At least 13 civilians have been killed. Over 56 Indian civilians have been injured in the shelling that has taken place. We'll go back to those visuals while I bring in my colleague Gursimran, who is getting us the latest details. So, Gursimran, first we will tell our viewers about the images that have been accessed, one by you and the other that we have just got a short while back. Those 2 images clearly show that the Pakistani posts have been completely decimated. What's the story behind? What's really happening?
See, Shawan, we have seen that yesterday Pakistan started using heavy artillery on the civilian population first in the Nowshera sector and then in the Poonch sector. The Pakistan has targeted the innocent civilian, after which the Indian Army has retaliated effectively. Indian Army has used the heavy artillery to target the positions of the Pakistan, those positions that were targeting the civilians on the Indian side. And as four locations in the Rajouri is one sector and one location at another sector. So a total of 5 positions of the Pakistani Army on the line of control and one location on the international border has been decimated by the Indian security forces. The Indian Army has decimated 4 posts that were in they were very near to the first and the second post, that is they were in a line that all have 4 have been completely destroyed in the retaliation by the Indian Army, the visual of which are also there. This is a bunker buster missile that was used by the Indian Army to decimate the post of the Pakistani side, because what these posts have been doing, that they were while other posts they were resorting to the post-to-post firing on the Indian Army's positions in the forward area. They were not only targeting the Indian Army positions but also the civilian population that lives way beyond the positions of the Indian Army. So it was decided that the civilians won't be allowed to be the standing for the Pakistani side, that they will kill them at any given point, like they did in Poonch, where 12 civilians were killed in a single day. And then it was decided to retaliate, and it was retaliated effectively. There has been significant losses, that is what we are being told, to the Pakistani Army, and after that there has been a lull that is prevailing. There has not been any major provocation of targeting the civilians since the Indian Army has carried out these strikes early this morning. It was around 5 to 6 in the morning that all 5 targets were taken by the Indian Army after yesterday's intense ceasefire violation that has taken place along the line of control, especially in twin districts of Rajouri and Poonch.
Well, good, Simran, I'll request you to stay on with us, because what we are essentially going to do is take our viewers through what happened late last evening after 8 o'clock, when we saw a swarm of drones coming in. Over 300 to 400 drones were basically fired by the Pakistanis. Now, how exactly was that attack of the Pakistanis really looked into? And how did India really retaliate? We're going to take you through some of the weaponry system that was basically used by the Indian Air Force as well as the Indian Army to thwart this. 300 plus drones that have been used by the Pakistanis across 24 locations. Now, whether at all this was as part of a reconnaissance and something big perhaps is now being planned by the Pakistanis is something that one is going to wait and watch. But having said that, each of these drones were basically targeted and were brought down by the air defense system and the other weapons that we have used. I'm going to take you through each of India's military arsenal that was basically used and how it has helped to carry out Operation Sindoor. So part of the Operation Sindoor was a wide array of the arsenal that was basically used. Let's begin with some of the missile that we are being told that was used as part of Operation Sindoor right in the beginning. That's the Scalp cruise missile, long-range air-launched cruise missile. This is basically fitted with our fighter jets and is basically used for precision strikes against high-value targets. Let's take you through the others. 100% combat ready and mostly used to destroy fortified bunkers. Now, that is the reason why you've seen for most of these kind of operations, Scalp happens to be one of the favorite to have been used by the Indian Air Force. Let's take you through the next weapon that is part of our arsenal, the Hammer. It's an air-to-ground precision-guided missile system, and the Hammer too has been used in Operation Sindoor. It delivers high-accuracy strikes against both stationary as well as mobile targets. Now, important to point out here that the Hammer has a very narrow precision strike. When I say narrow, it essentially indicates that the value that it has, there is very little room for maneuvering, and that is the reason why it's precise. It's perhaps quite a difficult task to ensure that it locks the target at the same time with a very small maneuvering time. Integrated with GPS, infrared imaging and laser targeting. So it enables the armed forces to basically use it at any point in time, and whether at all it is during the day or during the night. It can be used at any point in time. Now, these drones, the kamikaze drones that has been used, they are used for surveillance and target identification. Now, there are some reports which is essentially suggesting that part of Operation Sindoor was the kamikaze drones that was used by India, and the strike rate almost 100%. Can engage threats autonomously or under remote control, so it's perhaps far more easier to use, and looking at long distance targets too. These drones, which have basically come in from the Israelis, and the Israelis have also used this in various operations that have been carried out, and particularly during the Israel-Gaza war, we're given to understand the Harab drones have been of great utility for the Israelis, and now it's turning out to be an asset for the Indians. Known for their radar-seeking capability, so it's not very easy for this kind of a drone to be detected by the air defense system. It uses an electro-optic seeker to locate, identify, and then strike a target. So it makes, as I said, the precision at which it basically targets, and in the manner it basically demolishes the enemy. This strongly immune to satellite jamming. So remember, the moment drones are essentially used along with the air defense system, you have the jamming systems that are brought in, so that it basically compromises the communications strategy. It can be deployed from mobile, ground, or naval platforms. So again, the maneuverability becomes far more easier because it is adaptable to any sort of platform. Now, Akash missile. So a lot has been spoken about the S-400, but as far as our indigenously built air defense systems are concerned, Akash missile basically plays a very, very important role because it is a short-range surface-to-air missile defense system. So it basically helps several other air defense systems, and it makes the grid far more stronger and robust. It can engage multiple threats simultaneously in group or automation mode. So that's the Akash missile. It operates at a range of about 4.5 to about 25 kilometers. It engages targets from as low as 100 meters to as high as 20 kilometers. So if you can see the wide range that it has, fully automatic, it deploys a detection to kill cycle. So that is the reason why the detection becomes far more easier and the target is clear. The last, one of the last that has been used is the L-70 guns. Now, L-70 guns was actually used yesterday as part of an effort to bring down the drones that were launched by the Pakistanis. The L-70 guns, these are basically 40 mm anti-aircraft military pieces, and they've been used as part of the security grid, known for their high rate of fire. So that's the firepower. It's capable of engaging fast-moving aerial targets at low altitudes, which makes it easier when you're dealing with drones because of the range they are at. The Zu-23 mm system, it's a twin-barrel anti-aircraft gun. Here, also part of that entire grid, whenever there is a drone warfare, this is all put together. You have all the defense systems being brought together. You have the twin barrel anti-aircraft used to defend static installations against low flying threats. Now that's the Zu-23 mm system, which was also used late last night after the drone attacks took place. Let me also now take you through some of the details that we are getting in. Details of India's effective counter-drone operation that has been carried out, because we are given to understand that after the misadventure that the Pakistanis basically indulged in, India basically retaliated. And India retaliated using L-70 guns and various other cutting-edge counter-UAS technology that was used. Now, that's part of what we were talking about. UAS, it's the security grid, and part of it are several of weaponry system that has been used, L-70 guns, Zu-23mm guns, and the Shilka systems. These are the systems that have essentially been used to repel all the attacks that India witnessed late last evening. We are being told that there are 4 locations where India also carried out, once again, the drone precision strikes. These are essentially the air bases that have been targeted by India. But ladies and gentlemen, this is far from over. Now, since the last 3 days, what we have essentially seen is an elaborate plan that has been put together by our security forces. And it is also time to perhaps recognize the effort that our soldiers have put in making this one of the most successful operation ever conducted by any military. Not just the Indian military, by any military, keeping in mind that this isn't an escalatory move that has been made by India, and also not basically compromising the sovereignty of another country. What we are going to show you is a snapshot of all that has happened from the time those precision strikes were carried out. It started on the 7th with about 9 precision strikes that were carried out, dismantling the entire terror ecosystem operating from Pakistan. Headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jamaat-ud-Dawa and the Hizbul Mujahideen. Their headquarters were dismantled by the strike that was carried out. As a response, on 8th, also remember, the Pakistani air defense systems were basically neutralized in Rawalpindi and Sialkot and Lahore. We give it to understand that this was part of another retribution that India wanted.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।